The moment we've been waiting for, as you can see there on our screens, athletics team South Africa have touched down at our Tambo International Airport right now this afternoon after, of course, that successful show at the World Relay Championships in China. Mawande is standing by. Of course, Mawande, this is the moment where they are going to be coming through any moment from those doors. It must be an exciting time, not only for the team, but of course for South Africa.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Unati. Well, there are a couple of athletes that I can see on the screen already. That's Lyth Pillay, who was part of the 4x400 meter relay team. And they've, of course, been welcomed home by SASCOC President Barry Hendricks. And we've also got the Athletics South Africa President, James Molloy, as well over there. And we also have SABC News sports reporter Harry Olivier, who is at our Tambo International at the moment. Harry, hi there. Can you hear me? Harry. And we can hear quite a sizable crowd that has gathered on a Wednesday afternoon out at our Tambo International to welcome the athletes back home. It's not one of those celebrations where you'd have a standstill of people just bombarding the airport basically and filling the airport, as you've seen with past celebrations, like with the Bafana side returning from AFCON last year and the Springboks arriving 2 years ago. But still a sizable welcome for the crowd. And I also can see Zane Geldenes, the captain of the women's 4x400 meter relay team, there as well. So yeah, it does look like they're coming out of the gates as we also
and can you hear the singing? It sounds incredible. Yeah. And I mean, Mawande, one of the things that we were talking about a little bit early on with Harry is just how young some of them are. It's incredible.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, like you're saying, there are a couple of teenagers in the athletics squad at the moment. We have Bayanda Walaza, of course, 19 years old, for the 4x100 meter relay team. Yeah. Udeme Okon is 19. He was part of the 400 meter relay team. And then we also have Kukumur as well. Let's cross back to our pictures and hear what is happening down at OR Tambo. And like you were saying, Matty, it's been an incredible time for athletics in South Africa over the past couple of years. I mean, athletics has a proud history in South Africa, but more so, it's been in the middle distances and in the long distances. And lately, though, the sprinting has been outstanding. And starting, of course, with the career of Akani Simbini about 10 or 11 years ago. That is really when the shorter distances started to boom in the country. And since then, there's been just an explosion of phenomenal athletes. And like you said a little bit earlier, we now even have teenagers who are competing at the very highest level for South Africa. And there's some jubilant scenes over there. As I mentioned, Zane Geldenes is over there. Snesipo Dambile, Team Tumkulu is taking it all in with his cell phone. And Zagiti Nene is over there with big smiles, running off to family as well. So it's absolutely wonderful to have scenes like this in South African sport. It seems sometimes that we don't have all that much to celebrate, but when we do celebrate, we do it really, really big. And it's also just encouraging to see how athletics in the country has gone pretty much mainstream. And it is one of those sports now that we do expect a lot of at major competitions, and not just one of those where, well, one athlete will bring us back a medal, maybe.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to single anyone out, but I mean, at some point, all eyes were at Simbeni, of course, the fastest man over the 100 meters this year. So quite a number of individual recognitions, but of course this was a team effort because we are talking about, you know, team relay here.
Look, I do understand when you single out Akani Simbini, for instance. He's held South African sprinting together for a very long time. We can't run away from that. He is the man. Some of the athletes actually call him the godfather of South African athletics, and his place is rightly earned. He is a legend of a living legend of South African track and field at the moment as well. And it's incredible as well. You mentioned that it is a team effort because South Africa in the past 10 years has had really fast athletes. I mean, we've had 100-meter sprinters like Clarence Munyai, Thando Khoto, we've had Anaso Jobotwana, we've had Simon Magakwe, but for some reason it's never come together quite in the way that it has now. And I think a lot of it also has to go down to the planning and the preparation that this team in particular was able to do ahead of the trip to China.
I mean, I just saw Bayanda, of course, so jubilant, jumping up and down. I mean, he's still so young, though. And I mean, we saw also, you know, children in school uniform. I mean, he is the pride of the country at the moment. It's amazing to see.
Yeah, it's the exuberance of youth. And he's one of athletes specifically that I never want to see that joy get taken out of, because it's one of those things when you see an athlete like that, it gives us, it's an inspiration. I know some of those words are overused sometimes, but when you see a person like that who's doing really well at the highest level and enjoying himself and still so young as well, I think it is a really, really positive thing for South Africa and South African sport just in general. And I think, like I've said before, there's just one of those things where there's a lot to expect. I think he's going to be something really, really special. And one athlete that you haven't mentioned as well that I do just want to touch on is Udeme Okon. He's in the 4x400 meter relay side, and he came second in the South African Championships, and also is the World Junior Champion at the moment. And he's running some really, really fast times. And I think he's going to be something special. There's a number of these athletes that I think for many, many years to come will be a beacon of light for South African
he was
sport.
in that race, in that 4x4 with Gaudio Isaacs, I think it was, as well as Kukamur and Nene.
And Zakiti Nene,
I mean, no one can forget the jubilation when they were on that track and Nene was coming through. A formidable race that was.
Absolutely. And also just seeing on the sidelines as well, there's been videos and things going around on social media, just seeing how well the team supports each other at this. I know, for instance, there was the SA Champs a couple of weeks ago out at Potchefstroom, and you had a lot of these athletes. For instance, I mean, Bayanda Walaza lost out in the 100-meter final to Gifli Otlela, who didn't even take part in the final at this particular championship. But you saw that even when they managed to beat each other and they managed to eclipse each other, there's still a really, really good spirit amongst the athletes themselves. Brad Lingwana, for instance, also missed out on making the final at the ASA Senior Championships in Potch a couple of weeks ago, but he's dusted himself off and once again produced the goods in the relay.
And I mean, let's talk about the women too. I mean, they came through quite nicely, grabbing the bronze medal, shattering the national mark. I mean, we talk of the likes of Shirley Nokibui, Miranda Kutsia, Precious Molepo, and Zene Geldenhuys.
I also think South African women's runners are in a good place as well. One thing, for instance, that a number of countries have is one outstanding runner. For instance, the Dutch have Femke Bol, who is an absolutely phenomenal 400-meter runner, but you don't have three other athletes who are very close to her standard that will go on and compete in an event like the relay. And South Africa does have that, especially with Geldenhuys, as well as Miranda Kutsia, who took part at the Olympics last year. I was expecting to see somebody like Rigel Josephs, who runs in the 400-meter hurdles and also took part at the Olympics last year. I've expected to see her in this event, but not to be. But I think when you think about the fact that you have somebody like that not taking part in this, that South African women's sprinting is also in a good position. And one other thing that I would like to see in the not too distant future is a women's 4x100-meter relay team. And I think I could rattle off a couple of names for you to look out for that, because it's going to be something that is really good in the future. You've got Viwe Jingle, you've got Hannah Hope Vermaak, you've got Rumey Berger, and a couple of others as well who will be really, really good. So I think there's a lot to expect from the women's sprinters as well in the not too distant future.
And I mean, of course, you know, those are live visuals at OR Tambo International Airport. If you've just joined us, of course, the team having arrived and touched down just a few moments ago, greeted by family and, of course, the sporting body also being present. You mentioned earlier on the competition or the championships in Tokyo later on this year. What can we expect there? I mean, what's the hopeful for South Africa?
Look,
as we bask, of course, in this particular
100%.
win.
So I think the one thing that you have to factor into this is the fact that there were no individual events. So I think we've got a number of athletes. I mean, Benjamin Richardson went to the Olympics last year, who made it very far, I think, until the semi-finals, until he got injured. And I think he's somebody to look out for who could possibly add value to this team.
Yeah.
Sean Maswanganyi as well, who was part of the silver medal winning team at the Olympics as well, did not take part at these particular championships. So you've got two guys like that who could possibly even bolster the squad. I know a lot of people were talking about, Noah Lyles wasn't there for the USA, and maybe he would have added a little bit more firepower. But South Africa also have a lot in the tank as well. So I do think that in South Africa's instance, you can start counting them as the favourites for some of these events, or counting them amongst the favourites. Whether they deliver on the day is a totally different thing, but with athletics, anything can happen on the particular day.
Yeah.
But in the lead up to that, as long as the teams are well prepared, I think we can expect quite a lot from each of those teams. So when we talk about the World Athletics Championships, we have to consider the fact that the relays are now our strong point. We finished at the top of the medal table with 2 golds and a bronze. So you've also got track and field events. There's South African athletes in long jump and high jump. Brandon Raats is somebody to look out for in the not too distant future as well. You've got Johanne van Dijk in the javelin. And there's a couple of others I'm probably missing as well. I mean, Wade van Niekerk is still hoping to participate in Tokyo as well. So I don't think you should count him out just yet. I saw a podcast of his not too long ago where he was talking about possibly even getting to his best form once again, and possibly running even faster than the world record that he set, 8 or 9 years ago now. So I do think that as long as there's preparation, like I say, there's a lot to expect from Team South Africa's athletes.
So I believe there's a press briefing that is going to be taking place. But I mean, I don't want to get into the politics side of things, but how is this particular sporting body looking like at present moment in terms of support? Because we know, of course, when we speak about world championships, there's always that conversation around about, how much support do our athletes actually receive?
So that's the part where I think a lot of us get dispirited about, because the athletes haven't always received the support that they deserve. And I think sometimes that Athletics South Africa doesn't cover themselves in glory. I do remember at the 2022 Commonwealth Games, afterwards, South Africa's relay team was quite highly rated then. And I remember an interview with Akani Simbini when they arrived back in the country, where he spoke about the fact that they didn't get the kind of support that they expected, and they were really just expected to come together at the games and start practicing with each other just there. And relay does look like an easy event at face value, because it seems like, it's just passing on the baton to the next person. But there's a lot of skill involved in that. There's timing, there's precision involved. There's a lot that goes into it. So sometimes, you need a lot of practice going into that. And a number of countries have perfected that. Italy is one country as well, who are not famous for sprinting, but have managed to do really, really well in events like the relays, because of the fact that they've been given the support that they need to train together as often as they could possibly. And also, we had last year as well, in the lead up to the Olympics, I remember Sean Maswanganyi tweeting that with 100 days to go, they had not received any sort of rations or stipends or anything like that from Athletics South Africa in order to prepare for this. So it needs a lot from the administrators' side to pull up their end of the bargain to help South Africa's athletes perform at their optimum level. And at the optimum level, they are definitely amongst the world's best.
All right, just of course want to also alert our viewers, those are live visuals from our Tambo International Airport, and of course our camera person just jumping from one shot to another, just to give you a sense of what's happening there, as we get the different vantage points of the athletes coming into our Tambo International Airport. But an exciting time for the country. And I mean, Mawande, they not only put the country in a place of pride, but also globally, South Africa seen as that country that really has been shining through and putting us on the map, quite frankly.
I think it's very funny. I watched the three races where South Africa ended up winning medals. And in the lead up, when the introductions were being made and the like, the commentators weren't really counting South Africa amongst the favorites. And I think they've taken notice right now. And having said that, it's been to South Africa's advantage a couple of times where they aren't really considered amongst the underdogs. Because I think as well, South Africans, when you don't give them a chance and you make them have a point to prove, I think they perform at extraordinary levels. And I think the other thing that's really good for these athletes as well, winning championships. I mean, it's not always sometimes about posting fast times. It's about winning championships and having that winning mentality. And having that sort of thing helps you in finals of major events. And for instance, Lyth Pillay has missed out. I mean, he's been to 2 Olympics. He's 22 years old, I think it is. He's been to 2 Olympic Games already at a very young age, but hasn't performed at the level that we had hoped. I think he made semi-finals in Paris and in Tokyo. But when he performs at an event like this and ends up coming home with a medal, I think it does him a world of good. And I think that also possibly could translate to the individual 400 meter with time to come. And I think also he's somebody who's going to have, if he is given a lot of time to develop, will be a world beater along with Udeme Okon in the 400 meters.
Fantastic. Well, you know what? It can only go, better from here. We're so proud of all our athletes. I mean, thank you so much for just taking through to us. Of course, we know that the press conference, they're now moving into the media room at our Tambo International Airport. So that's where the press conference will take place. But of course, we'll continue then to give our viewers a little bit of a sense in terms of what was said during that press conference.